jewel buried deep in the earth. All we need are the tools to find it. The Dharma is designed to remove everything that obscures our true Buddha nature. Mathieu Ricard arrives. I'm going to be looking to him as my third spiritual guide on this journey. At one time, Mathieu was a leading scientist at the Institut Pasteur in Paris.
I mean, here was this man from a highly distinguished French family, his father a major literary critic, Mathieu himself a brilliant molecular biologist, clearly on his way to a great career in science, Western science, and at some point for him, it just wasn't enough, you know? Something was still missing. You could reduce all of material existence down to a single gene, a single atom, and you still had to ask the question, why?
He's sort of becoming more and more difficult to understand. But it's very sweet. And he's very, very devoted to Rinpoche and Rinpoche. You see, we are ready to spend 15 years to go through education. Then we spend another number of years to train professionally. We spend a great amount of time, you know, jogging and doing gymnastics and going on this bicycle and rolling sort of things. And then to get healthy. And then we spend another amount of time, you know, taking care of our appearance, going to have some nice hairdo or whatever. Now, how come we don't even spend a few moments every day to see how our mind works, which in the end is what determines the quality of our life? You know? So that's very puzzling, in fact. So why is that? I think there's a kind of slight hesitation, you know, looking at our mind. That seems a bit weird. I met somebody, a young person in California, who told me, you know, I don't want to look within myself. I'm afraid of what I'm going to find there. I told that to Dalai Lama. He said, oh, that was more interesting than going to the movies. So much happening in your mind. You know, it's such a fascinating adventure.
As the monks prepare for the Mani Rimdu down below, we take a side trip with Trulsug Rinpoche to a mountaintop above Chiwang. It's a place of deep spiritual meaning that he hasn't laid eyes on in nearly 40 years. This is Sengepuk, the Lion's Cave, where Rinpoche went into meditative retreat after he fled Tibet. Retreat is a time for the mind, a time to focus on prayers of compassion for the sentient beings of the world in a place that eliminates all distractions.
How does he feel coming back right now?
It's the same as before. It's just the same. It's just staying just as it is.
The monks say that Rinpoche achieved enlightenment here and had a vision of his own teacher soaring in the form of a vulture. With a tear in his eye, his teacher asked Rinpoche to come with him, to leave the realm of samsara and move beyond this world.
And that Trulsug Rinpoche in this lifetime looked up at that possibility and said, no, I cannot go. I still must remain in the realm of samsara to help the suffering of sentient beings.
That is a true Buddhist hero. Not a warrior or a king, but the bodhisattva, a person of pure heart and compassion who embodies the teachings of the Dharma.
Actually, when Rinpoche stayed here, it wasn't like that. It fell down. So
this is the place where Trulsug Rinpoche used to stay.
This one was
In the sunshine, on his old patio, Rinpoche stuns me with an impromptu teaching of the Four Noble Truths, the very pillars of Buddhism. I've read about the Four Noble Truths. As an academic, I can recite them by heart. But that's not the same as receiving them from Rinpoche through the translation of someone like Mathieu Ricard.
So the first, when first the Buddha gave the teachings after achieving enlightenment, the first teaching he gave was about the Four Noble Truths, which is actually recognizing the existence of suffering, acknowledging, and recognizing that suffering has a cause. Cause is a condition that can be dispelled.
The first noble truth, of course, is that all life is suffering. Now, suffering doesn't mean necessarily misery, and it's not a pessimistic or even a nihilistic observation. It was simply an objective assessment of reality, that life is suffering, that we all grow old. And the second noble truth was this idea that suffering itself is based on ignorance. By ignorance, he didn't mean stupidity, but by ignorance implying that the clinging to the illusion that the world and that existence itself had an intrinsic concrete reality, that everything was tangible, static, permanent.
So now, in order to get rid of ignorance and the mental toxins and afflictions and obscurations, we need to rely upon someone who has more wisdom than we have, more understanding than we have. So hence the notion of a spiritual friend or a spiritual teacher who is showing us the path, who is indicating how we could go about removing the veils of ignorance.
The third noble truth was the idea that suffering could be relieved through spiritual practice, that ignorance could be banished from the realm of perception, that you could actually find a solution to this human dilemma. And of course, the fourth noble truth was the delineation of a specific contemplative practice, a path of wisdom that promised, if followed, to allow you to transcend the realm of suffering.
All of that reading, all of those scholarly works on Buddhism, none of it prepared me for the overwhelming resonance of a simple lesson from a blessed teacher.
All those things, and then you hear it from someone like that.
Yes, of course. That's the obvious. So, otherwise, this is quite obvious, the way people got lost in what they wish happiness, but they run towards suffering. Although we aspire to happiness, we got completely confused about the means to achieve genuine happiness. We mistake happiness and pleasure, happiness and intensity, happiness and so many things. We don't realize happiness is a way of being that comes from inner freedom, not just from trying to enjoy as many things as possible, because that's like running after a rainbow, hoping that we can wear it as a dress. No, it never works. They hope for happiness, but they got lost in the wrong means of achieving it. So that's the drama of sentient beings.
Back at Shiwang Monastery, the courtyard is transformed into a theater in the round for the performance of the Mani Rimdu. It tells the story of Buddhism being brought to Tibet, but it is also a celebration of the totality of the human experience.